Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another episode of this Christmas in July collaboration. And today what we're going to do, the watercolor. So that's the next step. After we've done all the gesso, you see it's pretty white. I haven't bound the pages yet because I feel it's much easier to work with them like this. So this is what I'm gonna do. I also have some metallic watercolor paint, so I'm gonna use that as well. Here. And this is some normal watercolor paints. Of course, since it's a winter journal, I'm gonna favor some blues and also some reds because it's a bit the opposite and because it's a bit of a winter color as well with all the berries and stuff in the trees. So I'm gonna do a little bit of red, but mostly blues everywhere, a bit of grays, and well, of course, there's gonna be a bit of white, yellow, and browns to just give depth to this journal. I just wet my brush, grab some paint, and I'm just gonna dab it on. I might come and do a few passes, and then I'm just gonna wait for one to dry, and then we just have to turn it around and keep working. And now that we've done all our watercolor layers, it's time to move on to the next step. Hey guys, so honestly, I'm not sure about my steps anymore. Here I wrote down dry brushing, white or metallic. I've got also stamping and embossing, and I've got some decoration stamps and labels. Also like quotes. And I'm forgetting stuff. There's a lot going on in here, and then there's like cards also. So I think I'm gonna do some dry brushing quite quickly. I've got some white here, and for this you're gonna need a paintbrush, ideally one that's quite, I don't know how to call it, straight. I'm gonna use this paintbrush. The most important thing with dry brushing is that your paint, it has to be dry, which is why it's called dry brushing. So just grab some paint with your paintbrush and make sure it's not a lot and that, you know, it's not wet with paint. It's very hard to explain. And then you just dry brush. So just, you know, put your paintbrush completely horizontal to your page and pass it on the texture that you want to put in evidence. So that's all the texture that we've put before. And you can dry brush in other colors, of course. I do love dry brushing with metallic colors. I think it looks really, really good. Do let me know in the comments how you like to dry brush. Have you used this method before? When do you use it and how? I would love to know. Here I just thought I would use white because this is a Christmas journal, but you can use anything you want. It can be black even. The background is just not dark enough for the motifs to come out, so I'm just darkening the background. My God, this is looking so good! Alright, so now that we've done all of our watercolor and the dry brush, we can do some stencil, stamping, and embossing. For the stamping, I've got this beautiful little snowflake that I've just tried here, and it's super cute. I love the result. So I'm just gonna go ahead and find a couple of places. So this is, let me show you, Staz On. Yeah, opaque cotton white. I'm just gonna use it and find some nice places that are of a darker color, because on the white it just doesn't show at all. Something like this. So I'm gonna do this on every single page. Another thing I'm going to do is use some stencils. Here is my box of stencils, and I'm gonna use some inks. I've got loads of different colors, and I'm thinking some blues would be nice. I have these two blues, 3 blues here that I quite like. And then I also have these ones. They're pretty cheap, but they're okay. And I also have some green ones. So whatever is best, I'm just gonna use it. Maybe a little bit of white. I don't think so, but maybe. And of course I have this one that I always use, Vintage Photo, but I'm not sure it's gonna be useful here. So let's just grab some stencils. Like this one, looks a bit like a snowflake. I like the idea. So I just grabbed these 2. This is a blue one, as you can see. What is the point of these stencils? These stencils, the idea is to connect one color or one block with another. So when we did the patchwork, we get blocks of pages. After we do all the watercolor and the paint job and everything, some are more visible than others, and the idea is to just blend in the ones that are more visible by putting something that bridges one to the other, and then the distinction is less visible because it's something bridging them. So that's my entire idea with these stencils. Now that we've finished the stencils, I will clean them up and put all of these away. After this, it's time to work with some stamps. So with the stamps, we're just creating an added interest on the page. And I've got loads of stamps to choose from. So I'm just gonna make a little selection. There are some that are just texture. I really like these. I think they're really cool. Some labels. Nope, nope, nope. Maybe, no. So I'm gonna start with these. These are just textures, as I mentioned. Let's just start stamping. And I'm gonna do only one on each page. On these two, I've put some crackling paste. So I think it's dry now, so we can do that. So it says put medium A, then wait for it to dry, and then put medium B with paint if we want it to be colored. So I was thinking of putting some white. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but it's shiny where I've put the... Well, I don't see much crackling going on, but you know, it's fine. If it doesn't work, who cares? I'll just go over it with something else. As I mentioned, I've tried this crackling medium before and I wasn't very impressed with the result. So now that I've bought it, I want to use it. Maybe there's another way to use it. So if you guys know of another way to use it, please do comment in the comment section below the video. I would love to know if you have other ideas. Okay, well there's a little bit of crackling happening. And if it doesn't crackle, then it's okay. Yeah, there's just a little bit of crackling happening. Let's just leave it. So now that we've done a little bit of stenciling and stamping a little bit everywhere on this journal, I'm gonna do some embossing. Embossing is a concept where you get some glue. You can use either a pen or a stamp, and then you get some embossing powder. It can be any color. I do love a white embossing powder, and I have one which is sticky that I haven't used yet, and I'm really excited to try. I have also some golden and silver embossing powder, so maybe we could use that. I'll just get my stamps really quickly. So I'm going to use an embossing pad. This one's closed here. And I really want to use the white snowflake. Okay, and then we put the white embossing powder. As you can see, some places have a little bit of glue on the outside, so I'm just gonna remove the powder very gently, like so. There. And now I'm gonna use my heat gun, which is going to make a lot of noise. So I will remove the noise, and I'm just gonna go and heat up everything here, and you will see the difference pretty soon. Now, as you can see, I've had a little bit of a little issue here. I'm not sure this works yet because it's pretty old. Oh, it looks like it works. So I'm just gonna fill it up. Use my white powder. And there we go, some little white snowflakes. So now I'm gonna go ahead, as you can see, I've put some a bit everywhere in the journal, but they're not very visible with my white ink. So I'm just gonna go and put some more a little bit everywhere. I don't like the result. Here you can see the crackling thing. Honestly, it's so ugly. There's no crackle, there's no nothing. I have another crackling paste here that I'm thinking of using, but you know, it's not very interesting unless there's a nice background, and here the background is just not nice anymore. So I'm just gonna use some watercolor and paint over all of this, and hopefully it will look nicer. And if I still don't like the result, I can always just glue some things on top. So you know, it's not a problem. This is not an exact science. You feel free to just try stuff, and if you don't like it, you can just cover it up. There's no problem with that. Oh, and I want to try that sticky embossing powder. Maybe here. Oh wait, maybe that's not a good idea. I'm not sure how my vellum is going to react to the heat of the glue gun. Okay, it's fine. Okay, so let's do a little sticky embossing powder. I bought this one and I still haven't used it, so I'm pretty excited. So I'm using, again, my embossing ink pad. Here. So I'm afraid I did a little bit too much. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's quite transparent on one side and then it started bubbling on the other. But let's just try the little gold leaf. So as you can see, I'm applying the gold leaf with a little paintbrush. I didn't get a manual or anything, so I'm just trying my best from what I've seen other people do on YouTube. And then I'm going to remove the extra. Okay, so this is not amazing. Not particularly fond of this. You can see that it's definitely better on big letters and less nice on small letters. And pretty much all my stamps are quite thin. So I don't know, it might not be a good idea to try it again. I'm gonna try to make up for it using some gold embossing powder. I'll just try to do the stamp on top again and see how it goes. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay, new idea. Let's just grab some blue paper and I'm gonna do the embossing with gold powder again, and then we're just gonna glue that on our little mistake. And like I said, there's never any problem, always solution. Well, that's a lot better. So I'm quite sad because I'm not gonna be using my little sticky embossing powder, but you know, this works. Awesome. Okay, so let's just do some embossing then. Okay, so the glue didn't work there and everything just flew away. But that's okay. I really love the snowflakes, and this adds a tiny little accent of silver, so it's fine. You can barely see what it is. I love the snowflakes though. I think the result is amazing. I'm so happy with it. Let's do a little bit of watercoloring to try to do something about this. So now I'm just gonna let this dry and we'll see if we can just add something on top. Let's leave both to dry and see how it goes. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of stamping and embossing before we move on to the next step. This next step is pretty important, I think. It's all about texture again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some splattering. I've decided to use three colors. One silver, some white for the snow, and some blue, probably some dark blue, maybe with a little bit of black inside to really give it depth into our journal. The way we prepare this is you take some of the paint you want to use. So I'm gonna start with the blue. Put a little bit in a little jar because I just don't want to make a mess. Mix up the color you want and use a pretty hard brush. Then we need a little bit of water. Make sure your paint is thoroughly mixed. You don't want any pieces of paint just and mix with your water. Okay, I think the texture is not too bad. I would personally like it a little bit less watery, but this is fine. And then I suggest you protect your workspace. You should also grab some paper to protect all the areas you don't want water, the paint to go on top of. And here is why we keep the pages unbound at the beginning, because imagine with your book already bounded, all the pages bound. I don't know how to say this. To let them dry would be just a whole mess. So we're gonna grab another paintbrush and we're just gonna do this. If there's any splatter that you don't want somewhere, just grab a piece of cloth and just remove all the paint from where you don't want the paint to be. That's that simple. That's it. And just do this with all the pages. And of course, protect wherever you don't want your color to be somehow. Or just go really close. To do this, you can use pretty much any type of paintbrush with bristle on it. Even a toothbrush will work as well. Just make sure that you pick up the paint that accumulates on the brush handle, otherwise you might get some dripping on your page. But if that happens, don't panic, just grab your piece of cloth and just remove the paint. Okay, this is it. So simple. So now I'm just going to grab all the pages and I'm gonna do this to every single page of the book in all 3 different colors. And then just leave the pages to dry. This is acrylics paint, so it's going to dry pretty quickly. But it's still gonna take me forever. Okay, so we've done all the splattering. It was quite a struggle to, you know, keep some spaces out of bounds, I guess. So what I've done is I've protected it with pages and I've removed any paint before it was wet, before it was dry with a cloth. And as you can see, wear protection. Honestly, my clothes, I had to wear an apron. Anyways, so this is all finished. And I guess I will see you in the next video where we're going to put all our pages in order and finally bind our book. Can't wait to do that. See you soon. Bye guys.